Hi there everyone. Today we're going to talk about a formation called the 4-2-2-2. So it's four defenders. I've called them two link players, the left and the right, two halves, and two centre forwards. The reason I like this formation is it's quite simple to set up. You should always be in your columns, and we'll talk about whereabouts on the pitch these columns should be a little bit later in the video. It also helps dominate the middle. You have a number superiority in the middle, so it's 6 players. If we play with players wide, often we can be quite weak in the middle. Also helps with those lines between like defense and attack. Sometimes there can be big gaps between the different levels. So actually having this fourth line, I find really does help reduce that. So I normally play a 4-3-3. I like to stack the centre forwards. So similar thing is we are starting off in a central zone. So it's really similar, but you can see it just ever so slightly different. Okay, so different names, and I think this is probably easier, especially from a junior level, to understand. Okay, so let's have a look first of all how we're going from this attacking formation into our defensive presses. We're going to start talking about defensive presses, and then we'll talk about when we have the ball and what we would expect from our players and how to outlet, for example. So I've got them set up in columns. You'll see I've already offset these two. Level is never really very good because one pass beats two players. So you should always be offset slightly, but I do want you in these vertical columns. So what we're looking at here, let's say the ball's gone off, they're going to take a 16, but this could be pretty much anywhere in the opposition half. We might change things slightly in our own half, if the ball's in our own half. But let's have a look. So the important move is what these two left-sided players do here. Now, if a team was to take a quick 16, most teams tend to attack down this side because it's where they're stronger and it's our backhand side. So it's always very important for two players. In this instance, it's going to be these two, the left link and the centre half, to be moving left. So they're always meeting that play if that was to happen. Let's have a look. So let's say they're setting up for 16. So we're going to set up for this sort of position here. So you can see the centre half went left, the centre forward, and the other centre forward moved round. Okay, I'll just show you that again. So the one in the top left always moves back, and so does this one. So they kind of go round in a clockwise motion, like so. And the same thing's going to happen here. So these three are going to rotate in a clockwise motion, like that. Okay, so this is how we want to set up our press. This is called a pocket press. You can see that there's these pockets we're creating. Now, the backs, obviously, you're not going to stay out there. So you're actually going to probably come in something like this. You probably won't be in a straight line. You'll be moving left or right, depending on where their players are. But please be prepared. If this person just nails this ball, it's probably going to beat this player. So you also want to be very, very close to this ball to goal line. Okay, if you're not sure what that is, that's when we draw a line from our ball that we're defending to the goal we're defending. Okay, so that is the ball to goal line. Okay, and largely you're going to be marking players as well in this instance. Not here. This is like a zonal pocket defense. We're not marking players, and we'll have a look in more detail in just a sec. Now let's just have a look at all move at the same time. So we broke it down into layer by layer. So this is what it looked like. So we've lost the ball. We're going into our defensive press. It will look something like that. So everyone needs to be doing the same thing. Otherwise, all presses break, no matter how good they are. Well, they will fail rather than break is what I mean. Okay, so let's look at some players. So what I've done is put a typical back four and a 3 in here, and there's 3 forwards. I've just dotted them around. If they stacked them like us, then we would stack. And you see our centre back is actually free. Okay, if they have a front four, highly unusual, then you'll mark them. But we also have a goalie back here as well. Okay, so you'll notice that these players are just drifting in the middle of these pockets. That's absolutely fine. I would say if there's one here, probably step in front because this ball nailed through. We don't really want a 1v1. So what this is encouraging you to do is you're putting a bit of doubt in their mind about the transfer. So don't go too high because they can just nail the ball through here. So you always want to be behind this player. but just put a bit of doubt in their mind, so that the further the centre forward goes, the easier it's going to be for these two players here. Okay, so let's look at a few scenarios. So if they play it into the pocket, we're looking to compress the ball. Okay, so you collapse, I should have said the word, collapse onto the ball. So watch those three players. So the two yellows are going directly to the ball. You know, their sticks are all like pretty much making a straight line from the toe end to the heel end of the stick. Okay, they're touching, making it really difficult for that player there. The centre half, did you notice they came in from an angle, just trying to cut out this ball out here wide. And the centre forward is cutting off here. Now, also these two players, really important. It's not in your pocket, so you're going to give us some counter defense options if we need it. We don't actually need you to go forwards, because if we do win the ball in here, we've got 4 versus 2 or 4 versus 3. Okay, so we've already got an overload, so we don't need that extra person. Okay, it's more important to cover for counter defense. Okay, so let's have a look at what could happen right now. So this player, for example, if we do a bad job, if we press slow, or they just do a quick pass, that might happen once. Okay, so if someone's going to play the ball first time, just be ready for that and just get ready to cut it out, especially this blue centre half player there. In this instance, it's okay. You know, it's not ideal for us, but it's okay because we have this extra player. Obviously, the right wing can engage and the centre back can move on to that player. We're still defending player for player. It's not too bad. And we've got the centre half offering support here, and we've got the centre forward. What I would expect from these two link players is to run goal. Okay, so draw a line to the goal and just run it, and then just pick up players, pick up danger, and just the whole time, where is the danger? Where can I be useful? The centre half, you'll probably follow this player. Okay, so stick with this player intercepting. And the right wing, just slow them down as much as you can. Just keep them out here. You don't let them cut inside. Just keep them there. Okay, what else could happen? So the one ball we're not going to defend is the ball back. Okay, we're always going to let that happen. Okay, and if that happens, we just go back to our press. Okay. Now, so let's send it back in again. So if it does come in, let's say some absolute awesome skill, or one of our players is daft enough to foul them in this instance, you've got their head down, you're panicking them, you don't need to foul, you just need to take the ball. So if they do drive here, again, not too much of a problem because these two players have done their job. If these two players don't do their job, we have a problem, okay? But you two, if it didn't enter your pocket, you have to collapse, and vice versa for the other side, because the centre back can put pressure on the ball, and then we're still player for player. In fact, we probably have an overload advantage. In this case, their right back is obviously going to do that, so we can have a bit of cross defense. One of the links, the other link runs goal, the other centre half runs goal. The centre forwards, you can chill out a bit because there's still 4 players back. Okay. Now, another variation you could do is, if you notice, I had the centre half here before. Okay, you could drop much further. And what that's going to allow you to do is not allow them to pass into the middle. They can see these two players will be much, much closer, and you're encouraging this wider pass. Okay, so if it obviously goes wide, and the same for the other press, if they do send it wide or they do try to transfer, we all just move across. But in this example, we'll let it go back. We're not interested in defending this ball because we want to win the ball here, move the ball early, and go on counter-attack. The important thing is, this player, you protect the ball coming in. Okay, this left link, you must be in front. This player is going to allow the ball to come down the line, so you must be in front. If you're not in front, you've just messed up the whole press. The centre forwards, yeah, you're cutting off a square. Obviously, they'll have players in here. If there's players in here, step in front. Okay, let's pin the ball in here and win it. Okay, that's what we want to do. If it does go back, we'll go back to our press. So the whole idea with the encouraging wide is to win it wide. I prefer to win it in the middle, but lots of teams do prefer to win it in the channels. Okay. In this instance, you'll probably be player marking, so you would just stick with your players. And again, you can see these two, they've moved over. We're only defending half the pitch at a time, and we're in a good position to recover. Okay. Okay, so the other press I like is the split press. So that cuts off the transfer. Some people call it high press, split press, call it what you want, okay? But in this instance, same sort of pattern, but you're going to go much higher this time. Okay, you're going to put real doubt in this transfer ball. This one will still be on, okay? And again, let's look at the rotation for the other three. So the left link's going to move left, okay? They're going to go in clockwise direction up here like this. Okay. Let's look at the backs as well. So because this is much higher, you probably want one of the centre backs to come into this sort of region, something like that. Okay. So there's our pocket still. It is still there. If we put some players in, all right, let's look at some scenarios. In this instance, they're stacking the players like I would, protecting the middle, given the gaps down the flanks. We're going to hold our formation. We're not going to get dragged out. If this happens, yeah, definitely step in front there. And so if the ball goes wide, we will go wide. The centre forward, you cut off the transfer. Okay, the whole point of split press is we either cut off the transfer here, or if it goes wide, we cut off the transfer back and we win it in the flanks. Obviously, all of our players are going to move over. So with their players, so you have to assess the danger and have a look. But you three here will be player marking. You know, in this instance, you're just going to stick on this player because the ball is over here, unlikely to get here. So just make it really difficult, stick on them nice and tight, assess the danger in these areas, but that's where we want to win it. We still have this sort of formation. These players probably actually would have been a bit better just on that ball to goal line, just down here a little bit more. But that's trial and error, seeing what they do with the ball. Okay, but panic that player basically, just give them hell. Now, if they do play it into here, then we can do our usual collapse, but this time we do block the pass back. You know, there's this option as well, so you might want to come in the middle, but you just put a lot of panic, so they might look up and go, panic, and that gives these three a chance to take the ball, and we've got a 4 versus 2. Nice and simple. Okay, and again, it didn't go in your pocket, so you do come back, and your player mark in the back 3. Okay, so let's look at the bit where we're attacking. Okay, so we're going to start off by looking at the transfer. So have you noticed how these centre backs are offset? Really, really important on the transfer. So for example, if I play it into one of the links, if they don't hear the word turn, they're expecting that someone's on them, they're not in a good position, and they're just going to bounce it straight back. So you've noticed the ball came to this centre back, so then I provided this offset option. Too often we stay here. If they press, that ball is a goal to them. Okay, so we must always be looking to offset. You know, if they're playing a deep press, it doesn't matter. You can stay square, but you just have to look at what they're doing. Always start off doing this. It's safer that way. So they might ping out wide. You can come up. You can be a bit more flat now because they haven't got the ball. It could come in. This is an example. They could bounce it back. So then again, you're providing the offset. We could go for the transfer. We could, now, that's an important thing. So if you are playing it to that player, you still have to provide an option. So this is, you know, you can't go much further. So you'd be flat. We might have this sort of movement from our links offering the play. But this is it. This is the important bit. When you hear the word turn, that's when they're free to go. Right, that is what these link players are waiting for, that word turn. And if it's not a turn, if it doesn't come, you can expect it to come back here, or back here, or back here. Okay, and the whole time, you 6 are working really hard for one another, making sure you have loads of easy, safe options. Okay, so let's assume we've got that nailed. Okay, so we're going to pass it out to the wing. So what do we want it to look like? So this is why I like the 4-2-2-2, because everyone has a very simple role. So the link player, you should be offering a square pass. Too often, they make this sort of move, like if there's a centre 3, they make this move, and a player just tracks them. So a square, because this player can offer the post-up pass. Infield, you might not run as far, you might stop like on the halfway line, was more confident at passing the ball this sort of distance. And then we have the other forward offering a line option. We'd have the centre back saying, I'll have it backwards. even deeper than this is fine. And so you've got these 4 options. So every time this player should have those 4 options. And that's created by holding the middle in your columns. Now, you'll notice I've put these markings on here now. So this is the defender injection mark, where the defenders are allowed to stand up to on a penalty corner. So that is pretty much where I suggest you line up. So you've got a reference point. By holding the middle, look at the gaps it's going to create. Okay, they will come in, they will mark you, right? Or if they don't, play it in the middle because we have a numerical advantage. So there's those 4 passes. Okay, and you just have to choose one. If it comes in here, square, and is not a turn, that shout isn't there, it's going to come back to one of the centre backs. And then we just start again. Okay, we keep going until there's that word turn. And obviously the other players are not going to stay there, they're going to come over. So you've got the link up here between the halves, a link up if it comes to the links, centre forwards, and obviously we now need to make sure the middle is strong if we do get turnover, which obviously does happen. Okay, so if the ball comes in, just look for that word turn. If they turn, they go. So let's have a look at this ball here. This ball has come in, they've got the call turn. What do we expect from the other players? So the centre halves, obviously that would sort of movement, you can do it together. This is why it's easy to learn. You've created this nice triangle here. One of the centre forwards in that column, clearly that's an option. Now you'll notice it's gone down this channel, and this is when we look to promote one of these wingers, right? So the left wing can promote because it's in your channel, and then the others tuck in, going to a back 3. Vice versa, if it went in the left link channel, then the right wing can promote, and the other backs form a 3. But this promotion only happens on the word turn, or you see the player turn. Okay. Oh, and that's the end of the video. So hopefully that's covered everything. Hopefully you're excited about this formation and you want to give it a go. I think it's really easy to learn, way more simple than the 4-3-3-3 and getting those players to run as a 3, because now they're actually only running as a 2. So please give it a go and comment below if you think I should change anything or the fact that you like it. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.